This is an overview of Asadora Volume 1 by Naoki Urasawa. This video will go through the manga chapter by chapter. The chapter begins with people running from a monster in the year 2020 with the Olympics looming. The story immediately focused on our main character, Asa, in the year 1959. Asa is running to find the doctor for her mother who is pregnant. At the same time, a typhoon is happening soon. Asa is feeling annoyed due to characters misnamed her. The next scene featured Asa getting excited over a song played on someone's car. After that, Asa heard noises like crying in the direction of the ocean. At the same time, she meets her friend who was running in hopes of participating in the 1964 Olympics. Later, the author informs the audience that someone has kidnapped Asa. It turns out that the kidnapper thought that Asa is the daughter of a doctor. The kidnapper sobs when he discovers Asa is from a poor family. The chapter ends with crying sounds from the ocean. Chapter 2 starts with the author showing us how Asa got abducted. Asa notices a thief and immediately shouts for help. The thief panics and runs for safety. Asa manages to corner the thief to a dead end. This forces the thief to grab Asa and shut her up. Asa bites the thief's hand. The thief notices the raincoat that Asa is wearing belongs to the doctor's clinic. The thief decides to kidnap Asa at that moment. Inside an abandoned factory, the kidnapper starts to have a conversation with Asa. Asa tries to convince the kidnapper to release her. Asa also questions the kidnapper's actions. The kidnapper begins to feel frustrated. He starts to mumble about having money to get a license for piloting. The chapters end with the kidnapper remembering his past. Chapter 3 focused on the kidnapper's past. The author decided to focus on the kidnapper's workplace. Long story short, he ended up losing his job for punching his colleague. He decided to look for a new job but was unsuccessful. When he was able to find a job, he did not do a good job. Throughout this time, he will stare at the sky whenever a plane passes by. The plane belongs to a rich person. The kidnapper tries to persuade the owner to hire him instead as his pilot. The rich person replied back saying all he needs is his license. The kidnapper looked dejected after hearing his reply. Flash forward to 1959, the kidnapper talks about the war to Asa. At the same time, the wind outside is getting stronger. The kidnapper revealed that he was a fighter pilot during the war. Most of his teammates were dead according to the kidnapper. The kidnapper went on about all the tricks he used to attack the enemy ships. He felt annoyed about his life after the war since he was a hero of the skies. The chapter ends with a loud cry outside the window and the window bursts open. Chapter 4 showcases how dangerous a typhoon can become. The kidnapper realized that the warehouse they were hiding is no longer safe. Asa and the kidnapper start to scramble to safer ground. Not long after, the roof of the warehouse had come off. The kidnapper shouted at Asa to hide inside the shipping container. The kidnapper dropped a watch right before he reached the shipping container. He wanted to pick it up as it was the only valuable thing that he had stolen. The destructive typhoon had other ideas as it started to wreck the entire warehouse. The kidnapper got so scared that he threw himself into the shipping container. They shut the shipping container but loud noises are present outside. The kidnapper lighted a match to observe their current state. The shipping container started to shake a lot. Asa asked the kidnapper to do something since he bragged about being a hero in the sky. The kidnapper felt annoyed and argued that he is only useful when he is inside a cockpit. Asa argued that the kidnapper used to fight a lot of enemies. The kidnapper defended himself by arguing that he never mentioned killing enemies. Asa replied back saying she is aware of what he said. She further acknowledged that the kidnapper wanted everyone to survive the war. The kidnapper started to cry as he did not expect her response. After a while, the loud noise outside the shipping container stopped. Asa and the kidnapper started talking about the sound that they heard. Asa argued that it sounded like a monster, but the kidnapper said it was the sound of the wind. The kidnapper shared some rice balls with Asa. They engaged in small talk. The kidnapper mentioned surrendering to the police after this. He also disclosed that his wife and son died from starvation. The kidnapper decided to open the door for the shipping container. Asa soon joined him to open the door together. They managed to open the door, but their surroundings had changed a lot. Their surroundings are now full of logs and water. Many houses are now almost completely submerged underwater. The chapter ended with Asa screaming, "What is this place?" Chapter 5 opens up with the rich person annoyed that his private pilot is unable to be present due to the typhoon. The rich person did not believe his statement. He switched on the radio and was stunned when the radio announced that a lot of houses had not survived the typhoon. As for our two main characters, they were still processing their current situation. Asa was becoming more emotional as she realized that her house might be gone forever. The kidnapper proclaimed that one should never give up. He also had an idea. Asa and the kidnapper reached an area that was not flooded. When they reached safer ground, they noticed that there was not much rescue going on due to lack of manpower. The kidnapper found a three-wheeler with the keys still attached. Before they started their journey, the kidnapper wanted Asa to not cry after this. The chapter ends with the kidnapper declaring that the destination is the airport. Chapter 6 starts with Asa pleading to an older lady to create rice balls. Yet, the older lady questioned her request. Asa suggested the idea to the kidnapper to bring alone rice balls for the victims of the typhoon. The kidnapper sent her to the place where the rice balls were being made. The kidnapper told Asa to stay put and get the rice balls while he headed to the airport. Asa waited outside the restaurant and was interrupted by an older lady who was holding a ladder and a hammer. She wanted to repair her signboard that was slanting due to the typhoon. The older lady asked for Asa's help and she obliged. They had a small conversation and the older lady ended up giving Asa a free rice ball due to her generosity. Asa tried to convince the older lady to create rice balls, but the older lady rejected her idea. Back to the kidnapper, he stole a box full of balloon-related stuff. Back to Asa, she proposed the idea of paying back for rice balls in the future. Back to the kidnapper again, he drove into the airport without any hassle due to security busy. The kidnapper parked in front of the rich man's plane. The rich man thought that he was here to be his personal pilot. But, the kidnapper ended up stealing his plane. The rich man was furious and pointed his gun towards the kidnapper. Back to our main character, Asa requested the older lady to create as many rice balls as possible. She even agreed to spend an entire lifetime to pay back the debt. The older lady ran outside and informed the crowd about Asa's proposal. The crowd shouted that they understood the assignment. The chapter ends with the kidnapper piloting the plane, but there is blood dripping. Chapter 7 starts with the author introducing a new character called Shotaro Hayata. Shotaro was running on the running track. At the side, 3 people were coaching him on how to run better. Those 3 people were his father and his 2 brothers. When Shotaro was about to run again, he felt something hit his forehead. He noticed it was blood that came from the sky. At this moment, Shotaro's dad declared that this was a message from God and that he was the chosen one. His dad also announced that the typhoon had destroyed their house. The dad also wanted Shotaro to continue pursuing his Olympic dream. Shotaro continued to run and questioned himself whether he was the chosen one. Back at the rice ball restaurant, Asa and a group of people were creating rice balls non-stop. Asa's plan was to deliver the rice balls by plane. After some discussion, Asa's plan evolved into throwing rice balls packed in plastic. The only problem with her plan was that the rice balls would not make it once it hit the ground from that high up. The kidnapper showed up and asked them to bring the rice balls. He revealed that he had landed the plane on the long road outside the restaurant area. He also revealed that balloons will help to support the rice balls. The kidnapper let Asa sit in front of the plane. Asa noticed there was a bag inside the plane. The chapter ends with the kidnappers starting the plane and also revealing that he did get shot. Chapter 8 starts with Asa getting to feel how it feels like to be on a plane. The kidnapper reminded Asa that they are up here for a reason. Asa started to inflate balloons for the rice balls. Their plan was to deliver 2 rice balls with 5 balloons. Soon, they reached the affected area and noticed the damage was far worse than they had imagined. They started to deliver the rice balls to the people stranded above their houses. They went back to grab more rice balls after they finished sending what they had on hand. The police tried to stop them, but the older lady in the crowd distracted the police. As they continued to search for Asa's house, they noticed the extent of the damage caused by the typhoon. Asa alerted the kidnapper that the closest landmark to her place is a public bath. When the kidnapper managed to locate the public bath, Asa noticed a large footprint. Asadora Volume 1 ends with a cliffhanger. Asadora Volume 1 was a good start to a series. It introduced us to characters that are well thought out and interesting. It also contains an element of surprise that will make the audience want to pick up the second volume. That's all for the video. Thanks for watching.